Breakfast with Socrates by Robert Smith. Philosophy is one of the oldest human sciences, but despite that, many of us may think that it is a complex science that depends on asking complex questions about life and its various existential concepts. In the book Breakfast with Socrates, Robert Smith takes us in a tour throughout our daily life events to explain that philosophy is really about looking at the world around us and our ability to make wise decisions in the various events of your daily life. Philosophy is a Greek word from philosophia, which literally means love of wisdom. Wisdom is the skill of evaluating the complex world and making sound judgments through reasoning. In other words, asking the right questions in different situations. Making wise decisions in your daily life is in itself a form of philosophy. The writer begins by taking us through the events of our daily lives and explaining what the most prominent philosophers throughout history said about this event. The first event of our daily life is waking up. And even though we do this every day, waking up can come as a huge shock to us, because in the moment before waking up, you don't even realize that we're about to wake up. Philosophers have discussed the topic of consciousness and sleep. How can you be sure that you are awake? How do you know you're not dreaming of being awake? How do you know that everything around you is not just an imagination or a dream? In the 1930s, the French philosopher René Descartes began answering these questions. Descartes came up with the basic concept that he could doubt everything except one thing, and that is the very fact that he doubt. Since doubt means thinking, Descartes realized that he was thinking, and since thinking meant life, he knew that he was alive. From this, Descartes concluded his famous sentence, "I think, therefore I am." This is why getting up every morning is a philosophical concept in itself. Descartes, if you are awake, you are thinking, and therefore you must be alive. Bit to remember, philosophy means making wise decisions in a complex world, and we can realize it in the various events of our daily lives, from waking up in the morning until going to sleep. After you wake up in the morning, you usually begin to perform a series of morning rituals, taking a shower, shaving, changing clothes, dressing, praying, eating breakfast, and then rushing to work. As always, getting ready to leave for work is more complicated than we can imagine. At the beginning of the 20th century, the famous Austrian neuroscientist Sigmund Freud became involved in the field of developmental psychoanalysis, a method of studying the unconscious mind. According to Freud, our minds contain two different forces that are constantly fighting each other, which are the ego force and the superego force. The ego force is the part whose main goal is to live comfortably within a monotonous routine without stress or surprises. The superego, on the other hand, is meant to analyze what the outside world requires. The superego forces us to always look properly, by dressing, bathing, using perfume, speaking politely, dressing appropriately, and following the rules and habits of our society. Getting ready to leave the house in the morning is always a turning point in the struggle of the ego and the superego. During that time, we are preparing to let go of the calm, routine thoughts of the ego, and to adapt to the external demands that society imposes and that the superego forces us to implement. The outside world often requires you to let go of your comfort and routine, gives you surprises, and impose rules on your behavior and appearance. Bit to remember, Freud says that the morning routine is an aggressive competition between the ego and the superego. Every morning, billions of people around the world move in unison like a herd on their way to offices and fields of work, and spend the rest of their day working at these desks until the end of the working hours. If you take the train or drive on the way to work, look to the right and left. You will find yourself surrounded by your fellows of the employees' herd. This is the perfect moment to consider the ideas of the German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. Nietzsche challenges readers to ask themselves, what if I had to live this life again? Would I be able to bear it this way? Nietzsche says that every human lives in two worlds, meaning that in addition to the reality we live in, we create an imaginary world full of everything we wish to reach in our lives. We create this world to escape from the concerns of our real life. And while these imaginations are just a method of self-consolation, they are considered a form of mental weakness according to Nietzsche's writings. Therefore, Nietzsche describes the human herd as walking in unison, that is, almost hallucinogenic. He believes that the only way to escape from the herd is to abandon this fantasy world completely. Then we can take control of our lives by living in every moment and seeing the world the way it is. Bit to remember, Nietzsche believes that the abandonment of fantasies of an ideal life is the way to take control of your destiny and turn your goals into reality. The last event of your daily routine is undoubtedly going back to bed, and since a person sleeps about 20 years of his life on average, sleep had a considerable attention from many philosophers throughout the ages. Carl Jung, who was Freud's fellow competitor in psychoanalysis, believed that humans not only share a state of unconscious consciousness but also share common human dreams. Jung believes that humans have accumulated a collection of memories from the dawn of humankind, which he called the concept of the collective unconscious. However, Jung believed that this collective unconscious was more than just human memories. When you dream in your sleep, the whole world is dreaming with you. Every human who has lived on Earth since the dawn of history has contributed to this collective unconscious, and according to Jung, we are all connected to each other through it. When you fall into a deep sleep and dive in the world of dreams, you are not an independent individual but a part of a vast telepathic network of billions of people living unconsciously, and you're also contributing to the collection of human memories for millions of years. Bit to remember, Jung's concept of dreams is that they connect you to the collective unconscious, or what's called the soul of the world.
Thanks for watching. Please follow our social media accounts. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel.